I have it just for defensive purposes. You know what I mean? Just in case. Because here's what's been happening. Sometimes the comments, they come a little aggressive. So instantly, I got to play defense. You see what I'm saying? I go to the grocery store with this. I walk around the grocery store. I go to Sprouts right down the street. I take my boxing glove. You just don't know these days. You know what I mean? The world is just, it's not as safe as it used to be. So safety first for me. Wherever I go, I got a glove on. You don't know where things are going to go down. What is going on, my people? Good morning. As I talk gibberish for a solid 30 seconds there. Hope everybody's having a great morning. Friday, December 27th, 8:01 a.m. We got a great show lined up. One of my favorite people in the business, Trevor Lane's going to join the show. He's going to be here in about 15 minutes. So make sure you hang out with us today, and we'll get you some great content, some great Lakers content, some great sports, and everything else that comes with it. So thank you for being a part of the show. I got my tea right here. Cheers to everybody. Hope everybody's enjoying their coffee. Hope everybody's enjoying their tea. I already had coffee. You guys know my routine here. I go coffee in the morning, and then right after that, I follow that up with some tea. All right, I got a couple quotes that I can read here. By the way, niece has got me this for Christmas. So I'm like, hey, you know what, let's get that into the mix. You guys get me a little mug? Throw that into the mix. All right, quote of the day. Balance of head and heart yields strength of character. Balance of head and heart yields strength of character. I got these all lined up now. I think I was showing you guys yesterday. I look like I'm playing poker. I don't know what's going on here. So there's another one right there. All right. When we're done with that, we keep it moving. All right. Thank you all for being a part of the show. About 10, 12 minutes or so, Trevor Lane's going to join the show. We got a lot to get into. I put up, is it this way or that way? It's this way. Austin Reaves. I had that conversation yesterday about Austin Reaves. Is this dude untouchable? What's his value in the NBA? Got some really, really good responses from a lot of people. So I like going back. Not every topic, but some topics I enjoy doing this. I enjoy going back and saying, all right, what did people have to say if I feel like it was polarizing or if I feel like a lot of people had a certain, feeling about a specific topic. He was an interesting conversation. I thought Austin Reaves actually, I thought how people felt yesterday when I had that topic. I kind of cut that clip separately and I put it out there. I'm going to read some of your guys' comments because I do think some of them are interesting. And then I'm going to skip over the ones that were not interesting. What do you want me to do? You want me to read everybody's comments? You want me to kind of pick and choose which ones are the right ones? Shot at De'Aaron Fox. Okay, let me tell everybody here. Do I think De'Aaron Fox is going to be a Los Angeles Laker? I do not. Do I think there's a 1.7% chance? Yeah, that's probably where I am. About a 1.7% chance to get De'Aaron Fox. Had I get to that number, I'm not sure. But there was at least a couple things out there. The Kings are absolutely reeling. And I at least saw something, two different things. I saw one thing from Shams just talking about what the Lakers would be willing to give up in a trade, not for De'Aaron Fox, just more in general. And then I read some, some of these rumors that are, it's actually one of my favorite websites to aggregate stuff from, and that's Hoops Hype. Tim McMahon had said something about De'Aaron Fox and had something there on the Lakers. So again, we'll put that in there. I mentioned Trevor Lane, then we got our weekend preview, and then everybody's just going to go and enjoy their weekend and get ready for another kind of random week that we got ahead of us. Some extra days off. I'll have a couple of shows next week. Actually, I'll end up probably doing 3 or 4 shows next week, and then we'll keep things moving. All right, let's get the show started. Thank you very much for being here. Everybody that says good morning, everybody that says grab your cup of Joe, everything else. Hopefully everybody's having a great morning, and hopefully everybody's getting ready for the weekend. I'm going to do my best to make sure that you guys got something to listen to until tomorrow, because tomorrow we got Lakers and the Kings coming up. 4th time these two teams have faced each other, and then we'll get you into the weekend. All right, let's get started here. So yesterday, as I mentioned, I put up that video. It was on Austin Reaves. And the conversation on Austin Reaves was, hey, should this guy be untouchable for the Lakers? Here's Reaves just coming off that game winner against the Golden State Warriors. By the way, kind of funny and not surprising at all. He had a quote I'll read a little bit later where he's basically saying, yeah, that play wasn't drawn up for me. No surprise there, right? They're going to go to LeBron. LeBron was cooking. He was having a good game. So no real shock or surprise that the ball was going to go to LeBron. But Reaves is, look, he's got really strong numbers. He's a player that I think you could count on. I think he's clearly the third best player on this team. Let me share my screen with you because I put up this video, like I mentioned, about simply about the if he's, one of those assets that he is untouchable. No. You got to keep this guy around. I'm of the notion, and I've said this before, and I'll say it again. I'm of the notion it's pretty simple for me. If you want a legitimate chance to win an NBA championship, the only way that's going to happen, I don't think Austin Reaves can be your third best player. That doesn't mean they got to shop him. That doesn't mean they have to get rid of him. I'm just telling you that that's my opinion. That's my thought specifically on Reaves. So I put out that video yesterday. A lot of comments. 65 comments that's a lot for a topic. Not to say, after a Lakers game, I'll probably get that. But just for one standalone topic, that means it's a polarizing subject. All right, let's look at some of the comments here. I don't know why people are going crazy on Austin Reaves ball winner. Honestly, the last time I checked, Austin Reaves was the one that turned the ball over and over to make us lose the 9-point lead in the last 3 minutes in the fourth quarter. So stop the crap. I don't know which game he's talking about. Is that the or no, I actually think he's talking about the Golden State Warrior game. The game before that was against Detroit. We know some of the struggles that he had. But I'm gonna keep going. These don't trade Reaves and don't trade Dalton Connect. These two players are building stones for the future of this Lakers franchise. Again, the idea and the concept is let's just kind of see what the pulse is from Laker fans when I put out that video yesterday. Alan is absolutely correct. We need a better third option than Austin and other pieces. By the way, let me say this as well. When I say, when the conversation is out there about Austin Reaves, I'm not telling you trade Austin Reaves for the fun of it. What I'm telling you is don't let Austin Reaves stop you from getting a potential game changer that gives you a legitimate chance to win an NBA championship. Now, I don't know if the Lakers are going to go this route, but hypothetically, if they did, okay, let's see if that scenario presents itself. Let me just play this out the other way real quick. The other thing I would say is there's probably a better chance Lakers will try to hold on to Austin Reaves and go get more depth so that if you look at Boston, they're not just dependent on one guy after Tatum and Brown. No, they got Derek White. They got Drew Holiday. They got Kristaps Porzingis. They got really good players everywhere. Really, really good players everywhere. Let me read a couple more of these. Austin is not untouchable. His value is bolstered by his smallish contract. I will tell you this. It's got to be one of the best value contracts in the NBA. I know we were breaking that down yesterday. Let's get another one here. AR for $13 million per season is a really good contract. He's a good fourth or fifth option. By all means, try to keep him. That's probably, of all these comments here, and then I'm going to get out of this. We don't have to, read everybody's comment. But I think of all the comments out there, that's probably the one that I think says it best. AR for $13 million per season is a really good contract. We know that. He's a good fourth or fifth option. By all means, try to keep him. If Austin Reaves is your fourth option or fifth option, you got a damn good team. But we know right now with this roster, there's just a lot of players on this Lakers team where they're not consistent. These aren't guys that you can depend on a night in, night out basis. I don't know what Rui's going to give you tomorrow. I know he was great a couple nights ago. I don't know what D'Angelo Russell is going to give you day to day. He might have 5. He might have 25. I don't. Gabe Vincent, he might have a 12-point game, and I'm talking about him like he scored 35 because I don't see many 12-point games from him. So clearly the Lakers got some work to do with their roster, but I thought it was interesting, and I just kind of wanted to start the show off with reacting some of the stuff from yesterday. Okay, let's keep going here because there were a couple things that I saw, some of these rumors. And, of course, when Trev gets on here, we're going to spend a little bit of time and we'll go through, every potential trade scenario and what do we think of this player, that player. Here's something Shams put out yesterday. He was on NBA. No, he was on First Take on ESPN. He says, I quote, "My sources in that Lakers front office tell me they're open to moving 3 first-round picks in a potential trade, but they want a player or players that they feel can get into this iteration of this team now, but can also play for 3, 4, 5 more years under JJ Redick." I got to be honest, the 3 first-round picks is the first time that I saw that they have 3 first-round picks available. Maybe that just hit a date. You get to a certain date, and now other picks are available. But this tells me something, and I do think it's the right approach. So I'm going to read this quote again. This again from Shams. "My sources in that Lakers front office tell me they're open to moving 3 first-round picks in a potential trade, but they want a player or players that they feel can get in the iteration of this team now, but can also play for 3, 4, 5 more years under JJ Redick." You guys remember this? I've had this conversation with you guys a couple different times that I feel like if something goes wrong, they're not coming after JJ Redick. Guys, there's a perception around the Lakers that this front office can't keep a coach past 2 years, 2.5 years max. And that's not a good, that's not a good business. When you keep having to change out your general manager or your head coach, at some point you start looking up top and saying, who's hiring these people? Why do we keep recycling these different coaches over the years? And I think JJ Redick's going to get an opportunity. I've said this a couple times that JJ Redick's going to be here probably a lot longer than some of these players that are currently on this roster. But I think the idea and the concept, if they're going to go big game hunting and they're going to go put out a big time trade that they feel like can help them right now to win with LeBron and Anthony Davis, it's also important for them to be extremely responsible and say, whoever it is that we're giving up these picks for, that we're giving up assets for, listen, if I'm another team out there and I'm making a trade with the Lakers and I'm trying to go out there and let me just use as an example, De'Aaron Fox. You don't think I'm not going to ask for Austin Reaves, your first rounders? I want Max Christie thrown into that. What other iteration of young players can I get as I start my rebuilding process? I'm trying to get everything that you have that's young. However, if you got a player like De'Aaron Fox, you know it and I know it. That is a true building block for the future. Okay, this leads me to my next point here that I was mentioning on Fox. This is the only reason why I put De'Aaron Fox in the conversation. Sacramento Kings are reeling. We know that. They've lost 5 games in a row. A little bit later, before the show ends, we'll preview that Lakers-Kings game coming up over the weekend. Tim McMahon, part of ESPN. I'm going to read this here. This is kind of a full quote. This was on Hoops Hype. "Now, if Fox is going to ask out, it seems like the tea leaves are pointing that way. Still, I'm not sure if it's definite. When you're appearing on podcasts with Draymond Green and laying groundwork, you can see how people read into it. Don't forget, this was about a week ago. Article came out that the Kings are getting into a little bit dangerous territory here because of the direction that they're heading in. Does De'Aaron Fox feel like he can win in Sacramento? By the way, here's the answer. He can't. He just can't. That team's not good enough. I don't think DeMar DeRozan has fit in the way they thought he was going to fit in. And they don't play defense. I don't know if you want me to just simplify this. You got to have a squad that plays defense. Okay. Tim McMahon goes on to say, if Fox asks out, teams like San Antonio and Houston are the ones to watch. I've also heard rumors about the Lakers, but it's hard to tell how much of that is just speculation because he's a clutch client. There's also been talk about Miami, given his connection to Bam Adebayo. Who knows what other suitors might emerge or which of these teams will actually pursue him if it comes to that. So I set it up that way for one reason. I set it up that way because I think at the end of the day, the main point for me is if you're going to go out and make a big time move, that's the type of player that is a big time move. And that's also the type of player that you can say, let's look at his age. Are they going to have to give him probably a max deal? Yeah, you're going to have to pay for De'Aaron Fox. But is that a player that you can look at in today's league and in today's NBA Can you sit back and certainly tell yourself, yeah, that's one of the guys that we can build off of. De'Aaron Fox is not going to go win you a chip. De'Aaron Fox, and again, I don't want to overhype this. Like I'm saying the Lakers are going to go make a run for De'Aaron Fox. But what I'm saying is if you got what Shams is saying about, hey, they're willing to give up a lot of assets to go get the right guy. This is how the Lakers operate, guys. This is how the Lakers do business. They don't have to do business the same way that we all know this. They don't have to do business the same way that the Oklahoma City Thunder rebuild. They don't have to do business the way the Indiana Pacers are trying to build or the Toronto Raptors. This is kind of what the Lakers do. But I do love the idea and the concept. If you are out there and you are making a trade and you are selling multiple assets and everything else that comes with it, you got to make sure that you're grabbing a guy, you're grabbing a player that you feel like is going to be a Los Angeles Laker for years to come. Do I see a world where the Sacramento Kings say to themselves, let's make a deal with the Los Angeles Lakers? I don't. I find that very, very difficult to believe. I do think that would be kind of a shock or a real surprise. But with all that being said, you never know how things could how things can shake out. And there is certainly player empowerment to saying, hey, next year's the final year of my contract. If you trade me to a team that I don't want to be at, well, I'm just not going to re-sign with them. That's kind of similar to, what happened with Anthony Davis when he kind of worked his way to New Orleans. Of course, if you have the Clutch connection, if Clutch is part of it and he's representing De'Aaron Fox, it's impossible not to see some of those rumors there. Okay, let me get some of your guys' comments here. Appreciate you guys being a part of the show. Just a quick reminder here while I got everybody. Please subscribe to the channel. Would greatly appreciate that. Obviously takes just a second or two to do it, and would greatly appreciate it as I'm growing this channel. All right. Nate says Kings would never do business with LA. Yeah, it's funny. I've had a difficult time with conversations like this. I'll tell you why. Because I'm with you. I completely understand where you're coming from. But I always look at scenarios like that, and there's two ways to look at it. There is the Sacramento Kings are not going to do anything to help the Lakers, period. Why would they? Maybe the Lakers don't look at the Kings as a rival, but certainly the Kings look at the Los Angeles Lakers as a rival. We know that. That's not the first time that's happened, and it's certainly not the last time that we're going to see a scenario like that play out. With all that in mind, what if there's a trade scenario that's good for them? Would they still not do business with the Lakers? And by the way, I think the answer is yes. I don't think they're going to do a trade with Lakers. Let me give you guys one example, just a quick baseball example. Shohei Ohtani was never going to get traded to the Dodgers from the Angels. He was never going to get traded. Why? Because the Angels don't want to trade Shohei Ohtani to the Dodgers. They certainly don't want to do that. But what if there was a trade scenario out there that just made sense for the, obviously for the opposing team, made sense for the Angels? They're still not going to do it. They're not going to do it because they're bitter. They don't want to lose their guy. And I think there's a little bit of that comes with the concept and the conversation when it comes to the Sacramento Kings. Again, maybe there's a way that if De'Aaron Fox wants to bully his way there, maybe there's a way for that or not. Appreciate the supers here. Zach LaVine, De'Aaron Fox, they are nothing athletic wings that can shoot the three. Is there a Cam or Vando type that can shoot? I'll tell you what they are. They're guys that can take over games. I'm not as crazy about Zach LaVine. That's me personally. I'm not as crazy about his game. But I will tell you this. I will say that, you need players like that. You need players of that kind of magnitude if you're going to be an actual championship contender. Lakers, I've said this before, and I think most people would agree, they just don't have enough talent. Lakers don't have enough talent. They don't have enough talent right now on this roster where you could look at this roster and say to yourself, hey, these are legitimate championship contenders because of the players that they have. So something to keep in mind there. I appreciate the two supers here. Let me get to a couple more comments, and then we'll get to Trevor Lane here shortly. As soon as he gets on, we'll get to Trev. Okay, so a couple more comments here that I'm going to read, and we'll keep going. There was something here on Tim McMahon. Let me find that. Let's let's see what we got here. By the way, I love, some people put up these trade scenarios here, and so much of them are like, well, let's just get rid of our bad players for that guy. It's like, yeah, well, why would the other team do that? I would gladly trade Dalton and both picks for Fox. Dalton is a straight up scrub. First off, Dalton is not a straight up scrub. Dalton has phenomenal potential. But let me ask you this. Why the hell would the Sacramento Kings do anything like that? No, Kings, listen, if there's a deal to be had, like a realistic deal to be had, they are getting they're going to get a lot of your young core. They're going to get a lot of your draft picks. Austin Reaves is going to be in there as well, and certainly it's going to be a lot more than just that. All right, let me get one more. Kings are cooked. By the way, I don't know what's going on with them. The heck happened to the Sacramento Kings? The Kings literally, there was a time where probably about a year ago, a little bit more, they had a great series against the Golden State Warriors, and you thought, hey, this is going to be one of the squads that can make a little bit of noise. I never truly believed in them because I think if you're a team that, if you can't get defensive stops, then I don't know what to tell you. You got to be able to get stops. In the NBA, you got to be able to get stops. Okay, I'll get to some of these comments here in just a little bit. I'm going to keep going here. There's a couple other topics I want to get into, and then we'll connect with Trevor Lane. Okay, so here's another topic that went down over these last couple of days. I did a video yesterday, and I was talking about LeBron basically telling, right after that game, which was a great game. Don't get me wrong. The Lakers taking on the Golden State Warriors. It's Christmas Day. It's Steph Curry. It's LeBron James. Here's these guys again putting on a show. Whether it was LeBron in Cleveland taking on the Warriors, whether it was, we know how long LeBron's been literally carrying the league. But we know how long that's been going on. At the same time, you've had really, really good matchups between the two franchises. They face each other in the playoffs, whether it was Cleveland and the Warriors, Lakers and the Warriors, since LeBron has been here. But I was, when LeBron said Christmas is our day, and he was, in a sense, trying to kind of send a message to the NFL, like, yeah, we understand what you guys are doing, but Christmas, that's our day. And the argument that I was making yesterday is really, at the end of the day, it's always the NFL's day, period. The NFL, they eat first. They literally eat first. The way the NFL works, whatever day that they want to be on, they're going to dominate because they're the NFL. They were on this week. They're on 5 out of the 7 days this week. The NFL is running shop. So I saw yesterday, I saw a couple things. I wanted to see it. I was curious. I'm like, how did the NBA ratings do on Christmas? How did the NFL ratings do on Christmas? It was, and I don't mind LeBron saying, hey, this is our day. I think it was your day. And I think the question is going to be, if the NFL decides they want to have games on Christmas, then it's the NFL's day. If the NFL decides they're not going to have games on Christmas, then it's the NBA's day. But it's not the NBA's day just because you've had days before where it was yours. So ESPN Public Relations put this out. They said NBA action on ESPN platforms delivered the most watched Christmas in 5 years, up 84% from last year. Lake Show versus Dub Nation, 7.7 million viewers, most watched NBA regular season game since 2019. Season to date viewership up 4%. Listen, the NBA and ESPN, who's got a huge investment in the NBA, they are 100% trying to find any positivity right now on their viewership, on their ratings, on where they're sitting, and everything else that comes with that. I don't blame them. There's been, at least for 30 days, everything that's been talked about, NBA playoffs, ratings, all that, or I'm sorry, not playoffs, but the ratings for the NBA, everything is down. They have a really poor perception right now around the league. And ESPN's got a huge investment in the NBA. So if they can find you any statistics to say, hey, we had a great day, or this is moving in the right direction, they're going to shove it down your throat and they're going to make sure that you know about it. So 84% from last year. Here are the things that they left out. Again, I see where they're coming from, and I understand why they want to, make sure that everybody knows that the games were up this year. Here's the portion that they left out. Last year, 3 of the 5 Christmas games aired exclusively on ESPN, cable network. This year, all 5 games aired on ESPN and ABC, a broadcast network. So you got a lot more people that have the ability to get the games on a broadcast network like ABC. So you can easily, from one of the articles I read, add another 500,000 to 2 million more viewers to a live sporting event just by putting the games on ABC and ESPN. Are they getting a little bit more strategic? Sure, they are. They should be more strategic. I to be honest with you, I don't have an issue with that. I don't have a problem with that at all. I think they should do that. And then a couple other things here that I noticed that they said. The NBA competed head-to-head with 3 NFL games last Christmas. This year, the NFL only scheduled 2 NFL games on this Wednesday, leaving the NBA as the only sport on television after 4:30 Pacific. So Lakers and the Warriors got this kind of exclusive game by themselves, and they weren't competing with the NFL. So I think there's some factors there. I saw this as well, too. How did the NFL do on Christmas? Netflix smashes records NFL doubleheader on Christmas Day. They literally Netflix sets records as the most streamed NFL games in U.S. history, while the NBA had its best holiday numbers in 5 years, according to Nielsen. But let's just say the NFL said 65 million U.S. viewers tuned in for at least 1 minute of one of the 2 NFL games: Baltimore, Houston, Kansas City, Pittsburgh. So I think the point that everyone is making here, the NBA definitely went up, give them credit, but at the same time, even though they went up, also know that there's some factors there with the NBA. They put the games obviously on ABC as well, and they definitely didn't hurt the NFL because the NFL shattered records on Netflix. Literally, it's the most streamed NFL games in U.S. history, and they did that on Netflix, not one of these. They didn't do it on ABC or Fox or one of these other networks. So there's still no real competition between the NBA and the NFL. Probably shouldn't be. I think nobody's too shocked or surprised by that. But at the end of the day, just to kind of follow up from that conversation yesterday about the NBA and NFL, give the NBA credit, but I think there are some kind of factors there. And for the NFL, they're just doing what the NFL does. All right, let's see. Let me read a couple more of these here. By the way, we'll see here. Kind of texting here, kind of waiting to hear back. We'll see what happens with Trev today. So Trev was supposed to come on. We'll see what happens. We were supposed to get in. He was supposed to get in here a few minutes earlier, but maybe he joins us, maybe he doesn't. We'll have to wait and see. I'm not sure. He has a link, and if it doesn't happen, I'm sure something might have come up. Okay, let's see a couple of your supers here. Hey, Slee, if the Lakers make a trade, what major pieces should the trade for that could move the needle? I think Lakers got one of 2 ways to really move the needle. By the way, any comments you guys got, I'm just going to basically get into a lot of these comments, and we could kind of go back to some of the conversations that we were having. There's some other stuff I want to read on Austin Reaves, and we could talk about that game coming up tomorrow against the Kings as well. This is what I would tell you. I would say that for this specific, what major pieces should they trade for? Let's say the Lakers are saying we're going for depth. Let's say they're saying, look, we're not going to go. They're not going to be in the conversation for a Jimmy Butler or a Brandon Ingram, a clear-cut third star that you could look at and say, and maybe Zach LaVine, if you want to put a part of that conversation as well. I think more people on the chat are higher on Zach LaVine than I personally am, but we'll just, we'll obviously let that be. But I will say this. I will say that if they go after a third superstar, which I don't think is going to be as realistic because it's just so tough to make deals like that at the trade deadline. It's tough to make blockbuster moves like that. I'll tell you what I think is probably most realistic which I think could still get them in the conversation of they're one of the tougher teams to get out of the Western Conference. What I would say is you start looking at contracts that you have on this team, D'Angelo Russell, Rui Hachimura, Gabe Vincent. You look at players like that and you say, are those advantageous to another squad that can give us, they're not going to give us a superstar, but Lakers were able to get back some great depth that adds to their team. They got Jeremy Grant and Robert Williams, and now all of a sudden you got that backup big man that Anthony Davis needs and the Lakers need. But you also got Jeremy Grant, who's a player that a lot of people feel like, hey, as a third best player on a team, he's got great potential. I know he's been in the league for a while. He's expensive too. I'm not saying that the guy is cheap, but now all of a sudden you got rid of some dead weight that you probably didn't need. You got a really good player in Jeremy Grant. You got a backup center that's there as well. And then oh, by the way, Jared Vanderbilt's working his way back, and maybe it's Jackson Hayes or Christian Wood. Now you got even more size that's coming back. I think a move like that, and you held on to Austin Reaves and you held on to Max Christie, and really what you gave up was going to be more of players that you don't think are consistent enough to make a difference on a championship run, and draft picks that you don't need today or tomorrow. So I think a move like that is probably more realistic if they're, able to go out there. We've talked about the names, right? We've kind of had opportunities to go through a lot of different names, and whether those names are Bruce Brown, of course, has been out there. I'm not as big, and I've said this before, I'm not as crazy as the Kyle Kuzma piece of things. That's not a guy that I need to see back with the Lakers, but I think there are Dorian Finney-Smith, Cam Johnson. There are players out there that you feel like can have a really nice impact with the Lakers and they can be consistent. So to answer your question, do I think they're going to go for a home run? Those are really tough to orchestrate, especially in today's NBA during the season. Doesn't mean it can't happen. We've seen Pascal Siakam move. We've seen, obviously in the offseason, Karl Anthony Towns move. We've seen trades go down. We've seen big-time trades go down. But at the same time, I do think there is something to the expectation. I'll go back to that quote that Shams had. And, I'll say it again. Here's what the quote that he said. And to think something like this is going to go down, I'm probably not as confident about. But he said they're open to moving 3 first-round picks in a potential trade. But what the Lakers want to make sure they do, if they do that I don't think they're moving 3 first-rounders for an aging Jimmy Butler. And what is Jimmy Butler's also trying to get paid. He's got an option in his contract next year. Do you want to pay him for another 3-4 years? Is Jimmy Butler, do you think, your solution? Be a hell of a run for this year. Maybe even a hell of a run for next year, kind of figuring out where LeBron's going to be. But that doesn't map out to what Shams is saying. But they also want to make sure that the player that they get has 3, 4, or 5 more years under JJ Redick. By the way, how about that? That boasting of making sure that they're letting everybody know under JJ Redick. All right, let's get another one here. Thank you for the super, brother. Passed on Miles Turner and DeJounte Murray, but blew 3 first-round picks trading for Westbrook, Westbrook and Jalen Hood-Schifino. Do we really trust the Rambis, Pelinka to fix their mess? Listen, Kevin, thank you for the Superman. I appreciate that. Let me say this real quick. Let me say this on the Russell Westbrook trade. Do you guys think that Russell Westbrook trade is completely on the shoulders of Rob Pelinka, the front office, Genie, Kurt Rambis, whoever you guys want to throw in there? Do you guys really think that that's completely just on the front office? Or do you think the Lakers were trying to do what they do? We accommodate to our superstars. We think this is the best path to compete for an NBA championship. And if LeBron and Anthony Davis are saying, 100% we could play with Russell Westbrook. Go make that trade. Don't worry about it. The reason why I set it up that way, I think we all know this, and we all should know this, that when you're thinking of Lakers basketball and you're thinking about the players that are on this roster and you think about the stars that have been a part of the Lakers organization, of course there's pressure coming from guys like LeBron. And this is pretty early into LeBron's time here, right? 3 years in, maybe 4 years in, something like that. And they're always trying to swing for the fences to give themselves an opportunity to go win an NBA championship. It clearly backfired. It clearly was one of the worst trades and really hurt the Lakers for years to come. But I think if you just say that was on the Lakers front office, I don't know if you're looking at this correctly. I think if you just say that was on the Lakers front office, that was 100% just on Rob Pelinka and Kurt Rambis, then I think you're not really looking into the power of LeBron and the power of these superstars that represent the Los Angeles Lakers that they're trying to accommodate to. I will say that I thought Pelinka did a pretty damn good job of what he did after that, about how he ended up trading away Russell Westbrook and getting as much as he can and got to the Lakers to the Western Conference Finals. So let me answer your question this way. Do I have trust that Pelinka can fix their mess? I don't think it's a mess that they're in. They're 17-13. They're one of the top 6 teams right now in the Western Conference. I think there's a lot of teams in the West right now that have question marks. Let me give you guys an example here, all right? Let's look at the NBA standings real quick because I could go team by team. Oklahoma City Thunder. Are they a guarantee to make it to the NBA Finals? I don't think they are. They're young. They're really good. They're going to get Chet Holmgren back. Who knows what they're going to do if they make a move at the trade deadline? They've won 9 games in a row. They have right now the second best record in the NBA. Cleveland's got the best record with only 4 losses. But would somebody be shocked if the Thunder lost in the Western Conference Finals to Denver or to the Lakers or to the Dallas Mavericks? I don't think anybody would. Houston, super young. Can you depend on them? Probably not yet. Memphis, I don't know. I'm not sure about Memphis. I know the Lakers match up really well against them. Dallas, Luka's out for at least a month. They're going to they're going to check on he's got a calf strain. Denver doesn't have a lot of depth. The point that I'm trying to make is the Lakers are not in a mess. 17-13 in the Western Conference. Kind of a lot of guys in and out of the lineup. You have trade assets to go make a move. I don't think they're in a mess. Now, if you asked me this 2 weeks ago when they were getting their asses kicked by 40 and 27 and everything else, and I would have told you, yeah, you're right. Lakers are in a mess, in a complete mess. But I don't think they are right now. So to answer your question, I think what Pelinka does between now and February 6th is really going to, how do I put this? It's going to really clarify Pelinka in the front office. If they do nothing, which I actually think there's a very, very small chance that they do nothing. I do not believe the Lakers are going to stand pat. I really don't. And by the way, why the hell would they? They clearly can't stand pat. But I think this next move that they make will tell a lot about that front office. If it's a good move, then I think you could say, all right, let's look at Rob Pelinka here for a quick second. They won an NBA championship in the bubble. They followed that up. You're right. They changed some pieces there, and a lot of people didn't like what the Lakers did after they won an NBA championship. But I would argue this. Did it really matter? Because Anthony Davis got injured in that first round against the Phoenix Suns, and the season was over right after that. So technically, we'll never know if Marc Gasol and Montrezl Harrell and Dennis Schroeder and all these moves that they made, we'll never know if those moves were the right moves or not. The Russell Westbrook thing, we all knew what happened there, but I would just emphasize to anybody that's paying attention to this front office, that's not just a Rob Pelinka move. Of course, LeBron and Anthony Davis, specifically LeBron, had an impact on that move. So now it just comes down to, what will they do by the time this trade deadline is done? I think if they make the right moves and you feel like, wow, this front office put the Lakers in position to really compete in the West, then I feel like Rob Pelinka is probably the right person for the front office. And if they don't make the right move, then I think we have our answer there as well. So hopefully that, I know it was a long answer there, but okay, guys, I don't think we're going to have, just to give everybody an idea, I don't think we're going to have Trevor Lane on. So hopefully he's all good, but yeah, that I don't think that's going to happen. He would have already came in by now, so I don't think that's going to happen. I will try to reschedule him. That comes with the territory. You know, anytime you're doing a live show or anything like that, it's not like I can just pick up the phone and call him. So we will we'll reschedule that one. So sorry I wasn't able to make that happen, but we'll reschedule it. All right, let me see a couple more of your comments here. Yeah, I love this. You know, when people bring up Dr. Jerry Buss, just understand something. And I'm not trying to make an excuse for the front office and ownership. There will never be another Dr. Jerry Buss, period. There'll never be another Dr. Jerry Buss. You know, I remember there was a time when this was that interview Magic had. This was a couple weeks ago. Really good interview. It was on FS1 on Speak. And he was talking about Dr. Jerry Buss. He's like, yeah, there's never going to be another Dr. Jerry Buss. That ain't happening. That will never, ever happen again. And he's right. There will never be. He was literally a pioneer of the game. And it's not even just what he was doing on the floor. He understood the entertainment. He understood everything. And oh, by the way, the product's got to be Showtime. It's got to be some of the best that's out there. And he was obviously delivering that on a night in, night out basis. All right, here's what we got here. Even as a man, I'm accepting responsibility if my title is GM. You dudes be cowards. Okay. All right, thank you, by the way. Thank you for calling us a coward here. So if you think I'm saying Pelinka has no responsibility, then I don't think you got my point. But if you think he's the only person for responsibility, then I don't think you know the power of LeBron James and how the NBA works. That's the point that I was trying to make. Guys, this next move that they make will tell you all your answers. If you want to know if Rob Pelinka is the right GM and president of basketball operations for the Los Angeles Lakers between now and February 6th, we're going to find that answer. We will. They have assets. They're in a we need to win right now position. LeBron's about to turn 40 any day now. By the time you get to January 1st, he'll be 40 years old. They clearly need more talent. And oh, by the way, they're not a bad team. They're not an awful team. They could play defense. They could get stops. They're 17-13. You know, they have some decent wins against the Western Conference, but they're clearly not good enough to go up and compete for an NBA championship. Sliwa, the West is weaker this year. They are. I agree. There's a lot of teams in the Western Conference that got questions. A lot of them. The Golden State Warriors, you guys sold on the Warriors? I'm not. Sacramento, I don't even need to talk about. Phoenix, I have no idea which team's going to show up any given night. Minnesota, I think there's a lot of questions of why they traded for Karl-Anthony Towns or why they traded Karl-Anthony Towns. So I do think that there's, you know, a lot in the middle there that that there's a lot of question marks that come from there. All right, let's see what else we got here. Let's see. The whole NBA is pretty weak right now. I don't think Boston's weak. I think when the dust settles, like Cleveland, even though they only have 4 losses, I think Cleveland is one of those teams that, I don't know, you can't really just depend on Cleveland's got to go make another move. Let's put it that way. If Cleveland goes out there, I'm going to give you guys my quick little, if I was a general manager, which I'm not a general manager, I'll never be a general manager, because I know 1% what GMs know, okay? If 1%. But if I'm in the offseason, the Sacramento Kings were rumored to be going after Lauri Markkanen. And part of the rumors were they didn't want to get rid of Keegan Murray. I don't know all the details, but I'm just giving you kind of an idea concept here. And I'm saying to myself, I'm like, if Sacramento goes and trades for Lauri Markkanen, they got a real shot at coming out of the West. Like, that's exactly what they do. Whatever the price is, we're going to go trade for Lauri Markkanen. What does it cost us? A Keegan Murray's a popular player. When he hits a shot, what is the crowd? The broadcast goes Keegan and Murray, and everybody gets caught up. That's a popular player. You trying to win, or you want to just have popular players? Sacramento didn't do that. And I really genuinely thought, oh, if they go get Lauri Markkanen, they could come out of the West. And maybe I was valuing Lauri Markkanen too much. Cleveland's one of those teams in the Eastern Conference where I look at, it's like, okay, yeah, you only got 4 losses. Yup, you've kind of took the NBA by storm. Yup, you got great depth, good players, young players, Jared Allen, Evan Mobley, you got all these guys. If you want to be a legitimate championship contender, you need a real wing. And I especially if you go up against Boston, you got Tatum, you got Jaylen Brown. But those are the types of teams, like franchises like that. Are you willing to say we're good, but we're not good enough? F it, let's go all in. Cleveland, I think Cleveland's one good move away from saying they got a shot at beating Boston, but I don't think they beat them in a 7-game set. This just goes back to everybody saying that, the league is kind of the league is okay. All right, let's see another one here. By the way, what a great show today. Look at all this. Love all the responses in the chat here. Rob Pelinka is the GM. They have the ability to turn down and say no. They did it with Thearon, Lou, and Caruso. He was re-signed with Westbrook Trade because that's what they wanted. This is all on the GM. All right. Hey, give it to him. All good. You want to give that all on the general manager, feel free to do so. Feel free to do so. By the way, I do not think that Rob Pelinka has the final say on everything. I'm sure the governing body, the Buss family, including Jeannie Buss, is saying, okay, yeah, let's make the final word here. And part of your job also is to make sure that your superstars, that they're good too. And there's only a few players that are like this. I'm not making a move if, LaMelo Ball is telling Charlotte, go make this move. Okay, LaMelo Ball doesn't have the power to swing my franchise. LeBron has the power. I mean, you don't think Magic had you don't think Kobe had the power? There's certain players that have that power, and it is. I will agree with you on this. At the end of the day, it does still will fall on your GM or will fall on your owner. But anyways, we'll keep this thing moving here. I'm going to read one more here, and then there's a couple other topics that I do want to get into. All right, let's see. Rob Pelinka was going to make the trade, but backed out when Trevor Lane failed. Nah, Trevor Lane is the man. Love that guy. We'll get him back on. We'll get that all coordinated again. But he's, I've already told you guys this, one of my favorite guys in the industry. Okay. Did you guys see this? I'm gonna read this story real quick, which, by the way, is not a quick surprise or anything like that. Austin Reaves hit that game winner for the Lakers against the Golden State Warriors. Lakers, by the way, their game tomorrow. What time is the Lakers game tomorrow? I think it's a late one. I think they go 7:30. So late post-game show tomorrow on a Saturday night. Listen, you guys just kick back, enjoy the game. I'll get the work done. You just come over here right after the game ends. So yeah, when Austin Reaves hit that shot, I don't know if you guys, when I was doing the post-game show, I talked about it without kind of knowing what the strategy was. But Austin Reaves says the game-winning play against the Warriors was meant for LeBron James. No surprise. But I'm going to read you guys the quote because I love the quote from Austin Reaves. It came from Kobe Price. Kobe Price, SoCal News Group. You guys know Kobe. He's been on the show before. Does a fantastic job covering the Lakers. Listen to what Austin Reaves said. He said, yeah, to start off, the play was not for me. We were trying to get Bron the ball at the top of the key. And if you watch that play, you can see it. And Golden State was smart in what they did. But both, I guess one of the players and Draymond took that away. I think Wiggins jumped it a little bit too. And then when I caught it, 5 seconds is a long time in basketball. There's a reason why I do want to talk about this, because there is something about Austin Reaves' game that I really do like and appreciate, even though I was saying that he's not an untouchable. And of course, if you had a move that made sense and you think you got to go make it. The last thing you want to do is go too early. Something happens, miss, go out of bounds, and then you give Steph an opportunity to chuck one from about 85 feet, and that'd be a horrible way to lose. So really just wanted to get that last shot, wanted to get a good look. There are so many players in this league. Reading that quote from Austin Reaves, there's only a handful of players that can have that many things going on in his head while the game is going on national television, a standalone game on Christmas night, Lakers and the Warriors, and could be that calm, cool, and collected. And that's what Austin Reaves was. Think about how many different players in that situation panic. The play's not even going to him. The play's supposed to go to LeBron. Of course it's going to go to LeBron. LeBron's going to make a decision, do this, do that. I do think there are too many times where the Lakers depend too much on Bron, and I think this is a great example. I've said this before, that if the Lakers are going to win, what's the blueprint look like? And I've talked about how Bron needs to be one of the guys, not the guy. Let AD be the guy. And then Bron, of course, is still going to get his 25, 7, and 7 in his sleep. But that it's okay to rely on these other players. You're not the same Bron that you were 3, 4, 5 years ago, 2 years ago. But I just love reading this quote because here's Reaves not knowing he's getting the ball, gets the ball because all the attention is on LeBron. And instead of panicking, there's 6 seconds left in the game, 5 seconds, 4 seconds. Instead of just, hey, LeBron, take the ball, and LeBron now has to fire a 25-footer, takes his time, reads the play. 5 seconds, I got plenty of time. Okay, now I'll attack the basket. Takes it on Wiggins, obviously scores. That's just a great quote. That there aren't too many players in the league that don't panic in those situations. I tell you, the players, most of the players that don't panic in those situations are superstars on their team. And Reaves is not he's not a superstar. He's just a role player that is okay with the moment and can have games like that. I think that's a great quote. I love reading that entire process right there. All right, let's see what else we got here. Yeah, a lot of people. It's kind of funny. It's kind of funny how many people are their thoughts on specifically on Rob Pelinka. Very polarizing, which is fine. I get that. I completely understand that. It's very, very polarizing, and I'm not too surprised by that. By the way, you guys also should not be surprised right now that this was basically an entire Laker show today. AR is a pro, strong mental game from golf. There's probably something to that. All right, let's get another one here. By the way, folks, Luka will be out for over a month. By the way, at least a month. I think he gets what does he get here? Reevaluated in a month. So that doesn't mean by any stretch, that doesn't mean that that's it. That doesn't mean that he's coming back in a month. He's just getting reevaluated in a month. Okay, 2 more things that I want to do here, and then we're going to call it a day, and then we're going to get the opportunity to get ready for the weekend. And like I mentioned, Lakers got the Sacramento Kings coming up. So far today, just to give everyone, we talked a little bit about Austin Reaves, the Tim McMahon quote that if Fox asks out, you're going to have San Antonio, Houston, but he's also heard rumors about the Lakers. Okay, we'll see what happens there. I mentioned Shams in his tweet about Lakers would be willing to give up a lot of draft assets, but they want somebody that's going to be there for the Lakers for 3, 4, 5 years with JJ Redick. So we got into all that. Lakers got a game coming up tomorrow, and I just want to spend a couple of minutes previewing that game, and then I got my weekend preview, and then we're going to call it a day. When I say the Sacramento Kings are reeling, the Sacramento Kings are reeling. Do you know the Lakers? By the way, it's not even December. It's not even January 1st. It's going to be the 4th time the Lakers play the Kings this year. Here's what's crazy to me. Think about how much struggles the Lakers have had against Sacramento. Sammy, by the way, will be putting out a preview video later tonight, so he'll get into the details of that game. But think about the struggles the Lakers have had against the Sacramento Kings. They're 3-0 against Sacramento. 3-0. They beat them. I think it was the 3rd game of the season. Lakers beat them. What was that score? If I can find it, I want to just get you the exact score. They beat them by 4 at home. 2nd game of the season, not the 3rd game. And then the Lakers beat them in this back-to-back Thursday and Saturday of last week They won one of those games by 13, won another one of those games by 4. Who would have thought all of a sudden Lakers were able to just kind of churn things around against Sacramento? The way they're doing it is they're getting stops. But I think the bigger story for me, Sacramento's lost 5 games in a row. There's conversations and chatter that De'Aaron Fox is not happy. DeMar DeRozan just signed with them. You got players like Keegan Murray and Malik Monk and Domantas Sabonis. You got good talent over there. How quick can a team just go from, hey, they look like a playoff team to, yeah, what happened to the Sacramento Kings? It feels like that's the direction Sacramento's going in. So for all those times we used to have kind of conversations and we used to have chatter about the Sacramento Kings and, oh my gosh, they're dominating the Lakers. Lakers don't have a way of beating them. Now, all of a sudden, you're looking at tomorrow's game, and for all we know, De'Aaron Fox will drop 35 tomorrow. Domantas Sabonis will go for 25 and 18 and 9 assists. Can that happen? Of course it can. But how quickly did it churn to where it's like, no, you better beat the Sacramento Kings tomorrow? They are reeling. They just lost. So they lost a game against Denver. Then they lost the 2 against the Lakers. They lost against Indiana, and they just lost to the Pistons yesterday by 1. They had a 5-game homestand and went 0-5 at home. They're probably better off going on the road, to be honest with you. But damn, what the hell happened to Sacramento and happened overnight? So tomorrow, that game, right after that game, we will, like I mentioned, we're going to do the post-game show. So make sure to tune in here, and we'll get you guys all the reaction to the game. Okay, weekend preview, and then we're going to get the hell out of here. Very good weekend in sports. Very, very good weekend in sports. The dominating factor, let me do NFL first, just because it's the NFL and this is what they do. So they already played. I mentioned to you guys they had the Monday night game. They had Wednesday. They had Thursday. They got 3 games coming up on Saturday. Chargers, Patriots, 10 a.m. Broncos, Bengals, 1:30. Cardinals, Rams at 5. Seattle won yesterday, so there's a little bit of pressure on the Rams. They win tomorrow. They're good. They locked up. Or I'm sorry, yeah, it's tomorrow. Then they don't got to really worry about that Seattle game that they got coming up. So they'll be good to go. What's Seattle's record now? 9-7. So the only way Seattle can still win that division is the Rams have to lose their final 2 games, and the Seahawks obviously have to win that last game against the Rams. So something to keep in mind there. The only good games that I saw on Sunday that I think are interesting was the Packers-Vikings, 11-4 versus 13-2. So that should be a fun game. But anyways, full slate of games coming up tomorrow, and a full slate of games, of course, coming up on Sunday. Looking at NCAA, I was just trying to see, okay, when's the college football playoff, all that stuff. Well, before that, they still got the bowl games. USC is playing Texas A&M tonight. BYU, Colorado could be a good game. That's another game that's going on. The big games don't start, at least for the college football playoff. So we got some time here. The earliest one coming is on New Year's Eve, 12/31. So that's Penn State, Boise State. And then on January 1st, you'll have Texas, Arizona State, Ohio State, Oregon, and Notre Dame, Georgia. Damn, if you could fly me anywhere in the country, I'm trying to go to Notre Dame, Georgia. How much fun would that be? Okay, so that's your weekend preview in the NFL. It's your weekend preview in NCAA. Let me just get you guys a couple NBA games that are going on. We'll read a couple of your comments, and then we're going to call it a day. All right, here's what we got going on. Knicks Magic coming up tonight. That's a good game. Magic lost by 1 yesterday. I think Miami. How about Orlando? They don't have Paulo Banchero. They don't have Franz Wagner. And they also lost his brother, Mo Wagner. And they're still 19-13. Damn. That's phenomenal what they're doing. Pacers, Celtics, guy. Timberwolves, Rockets. I like this matchup right here. That's coming up tonight as well. That seems like another good game. Cavs, Nuggets. Mavs, Sun, Warriors, Clippers. A lot of good games. I don't think Steph's playing in that game for Warriors, Clippers. And then, of course, like I mentioned, Lakers got the Kings coming up tomorrow. And really no other kind of crazy games to point out to in the NBA. So that's our weekend preview. All right, let's take a quick look here at some of the comments, and then we are going to call it a day. So I appreciate you guys hanging out here. All right, let's see what we got here. Rams need a W. They get a W. That's it. It's ball game. It is ball game. They'll make the playoffs, and this is a team that started out 1-3, so that one's a little bit of a surprise there. Slee, is it? Let me see here. Slee, is it me or Gabe Vincent a keeper now? I'm not holding my breath. I think if there's a move out there that you got to make, and it makes sense for the squad, nobody to me is a keeper. If I got to be completely honest with everybody, I don't think anybody is a keeper. I really don't. I think if there should not be a player out there that's on this Lakers roster, if you feel like, hey, we got a shot to take a huge step forward, then why would any of these guys be keeper? And that's not even anything on Gabe Vincent, even though, listen, the guy has been inconsistent. So let's not pretend here that he hasn't been inconsistent. Okay, let's end it there. A couple quick shout outs here. Thank you to everybody. This is a phenomenal show. A lot of just a ton of comments here. So I appreciate you guys doing that. My apologies. Was trying to get Trevor on today. Obviously, that didn't happen. So we'll work on that for another day. But nonetheless, thank you all for hanging out. If you can do me a favor, please subscribe to the channel. Hit that notification bell. I'm on every morning at 8 a.m. I'll go till 9 a.m. Monday through Friday. And then also doing all the Laker post-game shows, some videos here and there just randomly. So if you can be a part of it and subscribe, we'd greatly appreciate that. Guys, have a great weekend. Thank you for being a part of the show. I'll be back on tomorrow after the Lakers take on the Sacramento Kings. Have a great Friday night, and we'll see you tomorrow night. Thank you.